Hi, I'm Rami Khan, and you're watching The Permanent Ring Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press today. I am so happy to be joined by Rami Khan. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today, Chloe?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. And it's officially 1 month since Bet has been released on Netflix. I'm so excited to dive into the project with you and, of course, your character, Rex. But before we get into the show, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you?
Yeah, I have always been like a very like performative kid, like growing up. I grew up watching Bollywood movies, and there was just something so like fantastical about that to me, and it just like sparked something in me as a kid of just watching these like super intricate like dance numbers and musical numbers. And yeah, I just always there was something about it. I don't know, I can't pinpoint it, but I was like, oh, like from like the age of like 3, I was like, oh, I want to be doing that. Um, so yeah, and like creativity and like dance and music has always been such a big part of my life growing up. And like I played piano, I did like singing lessons, I studied like opera for like a hot second. Um, and like yeah, I just feel like there's always been like creativity in my life, and it's always been something that I've had to like seek out. Um, and it's yeah, it's just like it's always been a big part of me. And like I like did like musical theater and stuff. I went to school for musical theater, and yeah, it's just been such a it's those like early moments of watching like these iconic like Bollywood films that I feel like has really like stood the test of time for me in my career of being like I always find myself coming back to like those huge dance numbers and those huge musical numbers and the way that that story is told in like the melodrama. I think it's really fun, and it's so prevalent in like all the stuff that I get to do, I find.
You mentioned piano. You also played saxophone, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I did in high school. I did I played piano growing up and then did saxophone in high school. And yeah, those are my instruments. That's so funny. Oh my God. How did you know I play saxophone? Did I say it somewhere online?
I did research
Oh,
on you, but in terms of like it's nice to have such a wealth of like influences and you tried so many different things growing up in dance. There was like you did a few different types of dance styles as well, ballet, jazz, tap, and even stick with you today.
no. Yeah, I'm like kind of like not really though. I mean,
I feel like it
I
never really leaves you though, because I did tap dancing and I haven't touched it for years, but I feel like if you were in the tap shoes, a move might naturally just come
it,
to you.
it does come, and it's one of those things where I'm like I've like dance was one of my first loves as a kid, and I never really got to like pursue it or just like really learn how to do it until I was in college. Um and then getting to like feel my body as like an adult in that way and like move in that way was actually kind of like healing in a cool way of just like it was something I've always loved and always knew I could do, but then learning the technique of it and then getting to do it was really cool. But I don't do much anymore, but it's still like a great love of mine. So anytime I can, I'll go like take a dance class. I'll do like a jazz class or something. So I'm not trying to do ballet right now. I'm not trying to do anything crazy or but yeah, no, you totally said it, where it's just like it never really leaves you. It's always a part of you, and like even just like how I move on like a day-to-day basis too.
Yeah, it's so good to find that connection with movement. It's such a prevalent role, and even actors, I'm sure, and you know how you move with a character and the physicality portion. I know you grew up a fan of Disney, so what were your favorite shows or DComs as a child, and what did you like about them?
Okay, well, this is actually so funny because I honestly feel like it like segues from like the Bollywood, like growing up as like a kid only watching those like Bollywood movies, and then going to like school like in like like a white suburb, and like getting to like see what all the other kids are talking about. Everyone's watching Disney Channel. I was like, okay, I'll watch this. And then every single Disney Channel movie is a musical. I was like, here we are. This is my time to shine. Cheetah Girls is it for me, down like number one always. Like Cheetah Girls and High School Musical are like neck and neck for me, but Cheetah Girls is like right here. There's just something so cool about seeing like for women, mostly not white, and their struggles, and the fact that like even in the first movie, they're just all have different interests outside of their like pop girl group that they're in. They're all still in school. One of them's like taking university classes, one of them's dancing, others are like it's just yeah, it really like showed me as like a young kid of just like, oh, I can be and do so much more than just that. Than just like one thing that I think I'm good at or like, there's this opportunity for everything. So yeah, freaking I love the Cheetah Girls. And also Whitney Houston produced those. Did you know that? I had no idea. And then I like recently found that out and I was like, this makes so much sense because they're so good. And the music is so good. They're so fun. I still listen to them. I'll go for runs and I'm listening to Cheetah Girls too. Like,
The Cheetah Girls playlist. Yeah. Who was your favorite Cheetah Girl then?
I loved, this is like an unpopular opinion. I really liked Aqua growing up because because I was like really into academics when I was a kid, and so was she. But then she also was like, I still want to sing and dance. So I was like, I love that. But now in my big age, I feel like I'm like a Chanel girly. I love her. She's so fun. Oh, who
I
else?
know you were also a Jonas Brothers fan because you got to see the Jonas Brothers like in
Oh,
concert a bit more recently.
so, okay, not to like get into it, but that was actually such a weird experience in the best way because I grew up watching the Jonas Brothers, which was like one avenue of like my upbringing, like the Disney Channel. And Nick Jonas married Priyanka Chopra, who is like a big Bollywood star, which was like another avenue of my upbringing. Went to this concert. Priyanka Chopra was sitting in like the VIP section. And like I had floor seats, sorry. And we were so close. So then it was like wild seeing Nick Jonas singing like a Disney love song that he sang in like Camp Rock 2 to Priyanka Chopra. Because I was like, my little brain right now, my worlds of my childhood are colliding and it makes no sense, but makes so much sense. So it's yeah, love the Jonas Brothers too. They're great.
It's like
Yeah.
you look to your left, right, and you were like, oh, there's Priyanka,
Mhm.
and then you look to your right, and
Mhm.
there's the Jonas Brothers. But it's so
Yeah.
nice to see those worlds
The
colliding for
colliding.
you.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very specific like South Asian like immigrant like kid experience. Because I was talking to like my family members about it and they're like, yeah, that's wild. Because they're so separate in my head, but then they're not because they're real people, which is crazy.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I think the Jonas Brothers are going on tour again. Are you catching them on their upcoming run?
I would like to. I would like to if I'm free. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best.
Hopefully, there's a Cheetah Girls reunion one day. I don't know how the
Oh no, there's so much drama with them. There's so much drama with them, but
it
I
must
mean,
hurt your heart. You're like,
it does, but I'm also like, you know what? They were kids. Like, again, watching those things as adults, like you're like, oh, those were like children on TV that I was watching. That's they definitely went through some stuff. Um, but yeah, I hope at some point in my life.
don't rule it out. I'm still
I know.
waiting for the Spice Girls
Ah,
reunion, so
ah,
we might both be
it's gonna
waiting for
happen.
some
It's gotta
time.
happen. It's gotta happen.
At what age did you envision yourself doing more than just acting, and you knew you also wanted to pursue writing?
Yeah. Honestly, that's all very like recent. I always thought of myself as just an actor and being able to do like the one thing. And then I think when I graduated from like my theater school program, I really hit the ground running with acting, in particular with like musical theater and stuff. Um and then I don't know, something just kind of switched. I want to say like COVID happened and we were all forced to kind of like as creatives and me as a creative who loves to collaborate was forced to into isolation. So then I think writing just kind of became like a necessity for me in that space. Um, and it's just kind of kept growing since then. And I feel like it's become like a newer passion of mine. Um, and also like I have a big comedy background and a sketch comedy background. So that's where like my writing, I feel, started. Um, and then it's like evolved so much like over COVID and even now, where I'm just kind of like on days where like I'm feeling like, oh, I'm not doing so much as like a creative or as an artist or something. I'm not like feeding that part of me. I'll just like go to a cafe, sit down and just start like writing something. I don't care if it's good or bad or whatever, but just like it's another way of exploring that like artistry.
For sure. And it's always like a different form of storytelling. And I think there's something that comes with ownership and wanting to create something of your own. And you have a Bachelor of Creative Arts degree, and you were also chosen to participate in Real World Screen Institute's Emerging 20 program for film. That's a long title. But can you tell me about how integral these two programs and studies were for you and your career and the key lessons you took away?
Oh, so I went back to do my degree, my bachelor's in creative arts, in like 2022. So like just after COVID, I started this program because I was like, again, it was off the heels of like we're all kind of slowly coming out of the pandemic. My vision of like what an artist in Canada needs to be has like changed a little bit in terms of like I felt like I needed to be more multifaceted. Oh my God, multifaceted. Um, and I was starting to write, but then I also was like very, very interested in like how this business runs. So did some research, found that my college had a pathway program with this other university, and I got my bachelor's in creative arts, which essentially um, honored my like theater school program and then allowed me to like really understand like the business side of this industry. It was through Yorkville University that has affiliation with Toronto Film School, so they're very embedded in like the industry. So it was really cool to get like that experience and understand production. And I really got specialized in screenwriting, and I really got to like understand steps in like theory of how to like create work in this business. And then towards the tail end of that program, I got into the Real World E20 program for a film that I wrote or started to write in school. So it was kind of cool to like learn all this stuff in theory from school about how to kind of like start making those building blocks of a career outside of acting, and then getting to do this emerging like incubator program where they like built upon those building blocks. It was just kind of like validating of like, oh yes, I'm on the right path. Oh yes, everything is making sense from school to this. And then getting to meet other writers. I was like, oh, I'm not alone in like these wants and dreams and desires. And then meeting industry professionals who are only like a couple years ahead of me, but still had progress and momentum. So it was very like reassuring. And then funnily enough, I was finishing that degree and doing the E20 program and filming Bet all at the same time. Which insane. I don't know how I did that. Uh it was so intense, but then it was just kind of like one thing informed the other thing, which then informed the other thing. And I was able to have like conversations with our writers and like our showrunner and our producers just like about the industry because I had this like wealth of knowledge from these programs that I was doing. So yeah, I think it's like I'm such a like a student of anything. Like I feel like I'm always trying to learn, especially in this industry. And I think it's important to like ask questions when questions should be asked, just not like always, you know what I mean? You gotta vet it out. It really like put a lot of things into perspective for me. So I thought it was really important for me to be like, yep, oh, I'm still learning much like how this person's still learning and that person's still learning and that person's still learning. And like no matter where you are in your career, there's always more to learn. So yeah, hope that answered the question.
Definitely. And I guess you're saying during that period you also got no sleep. It sounds like.
No sleep, bus, club, another club, but just school and work. Yeah, it was a crazy time. I was like famously just like on set because I had like my little fake nails. And I was like I had my laptop out always. And in between takes, I was just like click, clack, clack, click, 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 click. And then people be like, what are you doing? Are you writing an assignment? Or are you writing your feature? Like, what's happening? And I'm like, oh, guys, I'm doing it all right now.
Multiple tabs open, like the
Multiple tabs
assignment here.
open. I remember I had to take a Zoom call for a class one time, and one of my group members was like, "Hey, Rami, like, why can't you turn your video on?" And I was like, "Well, I'm like in costume right now, and I'm dressed up as a dog, so I don't think I'm allowed to show you." but I think you guys will just be shocked. And they were like, okay, sick, sick. And then fast forward to like this year when they got to see all the pictures of me, they were like, oh, that's what you looked like while you were taking our Zoom calls for like our group projects. And I was like, yeah, yeah. Life is crazy. Life
Little
is
full
crazy,
circle
homie. It's
moment there.
crazy.
What's really neat with Real World as well is you got to like do pitch sessions, workshop your screenplay, and it must have been so nice to be in a space that really amplified and supported BIPOC creatives as well.
That was, yeah, that was so important. That was half the reason why I wanted to do that program in the first place. And like even like we all got paired with like a story editor. And my story editor, again, a not white man, was so lovely to like talk to. And especially since my feature was really, really grounded in like my culture and my like not whiteness and that experience, it was really refreshing to have somebody and then like a group of people who understood that experience and also understood that in my screenplay or in conversations we weren't really trying to like appeal to only white people. It was just like a very, very like it was one of like the first places as like a creative where I felt seen in terms of like that form of storytelling. And I think that's very, very important.
We'll talk about that feature film you were
Yeah.
working on, which was The Last Samosa. So, what can
Yeah.
you share about your story and its current development?
Mhm. So it's still kind of in like I'm still kind of in a writing stage with it because I did the program last year and I went in with an outline and then I left the program with a first draft. And I ended that program in like October of last year. And then I needed to take a bit of a break because I was overworked, you know. And I recently kind of went back into it. So it's just, again, it's that thing of being a writer where like it's such a slow process and you really do have to love the work and these characters and the story to commit to it eventually being made. And I'm the type of person who wants it to be like to the best of its capacity right now before I send it off to people. So yeah, it's still in that like editing phase. I do have some like some people helping me out with it, which is so lovely, and like people to bounce ideas off of, which is so lovely. And people who like help me, again, mentors and stuff in this industry who help me just kind of like keep my head on track of just like I'm like, well, what if this happened? Or what if this happened? Or what if this happened? They're like, no, just like stick to what you got. Let's work it out. And I'm like, I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that experience. But yeah, it's a comedy. It's a silly little comedy about a group of 20 somethings who have to ruin their youngest cousin's wedding in order to save the world. So that's probably as much as I want to say right now because I wanna tease it a little bit. But yeah, who knows where that will take off. I'm just happy that I was able to use that story as like a method to learn and to practice kind of how I can navigate this industry as a writer.
And you always need a bit of that springboard, even if you're continuously, workshopping it and trying to make it better. And I know it was inspired by your family upbringing within the local Pakistani community in London, Ontario as well. So it must have been nice to take elements from home, but also clearly add this like heightened like sense of saving the world. Okay,
Yeah,
well, maybe
yeah.
that didn't happen when you were younger, but it's
Yeah. It's like I'm so interested and invested in the ideas that like the ordinary can be extraordinary. And I feel like that is so real for BIPOC communities, for immigrant communities, especially in like suburbs or just like regular people. Like there's something so extraordinary uh, about the ordinary. Because I feel like we take for granted just kind of like what we have and what we get and we're like, oh, I wish I was this or I wish I was that. But like, yeah, there's something, yeah. yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, the inner
I don't know where I was
power,
going with that.
right?
I don't really know where I was going with that, but
Inner
yeah.
superpower, we all have,
Yeah,
and that sparks, and I
exactly.
love that. Everyone loves,
100%.
like, a regular, like an underdog story. You're part of the sketch comedy troupe you mentioned earlier, Potato Potato. Is that how
Whatever.
you
It's
would
whatever you
say?
want. It's whatever you want.
I was
Potato,
gonna say,
potato,
when I
potato,
read it, it
potato.
was just potato, potato, and then I was like, was it supposed to be potato, potato? I wasn't sure.
We always say it's dealer's choice. So we're super lax about it. We call ourselves potato potato just because it's easier for us. Um, but potato potato is great too.
So that was established around 6 years ago now, 2019. What is your favorite part about creating and performing with this group?
So much, so much. It's actually crazy because it's like our group has gone through so many changes in such an amazing way. Like they started in 2019. I wasn't originally a part of it as like a fringe festival show because it was a group of a group of friends that did a devised theater program at York that I was like adjacent to, and they got on one of my friends into the group, and they did a show in the Fringe, and then they got it remounted, but they needed other people, so they asked me to join, and then we like kept writing and kept continuing over. Like it's so funny because it's like something that I thought was just gonna be kind of like a one and done kind of thing with this group of people, and then they just like kept asking me back, and then we brought on like it was such a weird amalgamation. It was like bringing on people that like we felt was like vibed and collaborated in the way we do comedy. And and now it's just kind of this like fun little perfect group of people. Not perfect, but like perfect to me. We all share similar ideas, and we all come from a theater background. So it's like two of our members have a devised theater degrees, and then the rest of us have like musical theaters or like a straight like theater degree. So we really lean into like the theatricality of sketch comedy and the stage work of sketch comedy and the live performance aspect of it because that's kind of where we thrive. Like we don't do like blackouts or anything. We just kind of come into um we treat like every set that we do, whether it's like 5 minutes or like 50 minutes, as like a mini play. So it's like we're always going, we're never really leaving the stage. It's like transitions and entrances. So it's so again, just like another form of creativity that like really like makes my brain work in such a um fun, fascinating, exciting way for me. So I love it. And we also do a lot of like political and satirical sketch comedy. So it's nice because it really keeps me accountable for like what's going on in Canadian politics and what's like and keeping like my like hand like steady on that and just kind of like being aware of like what's going on in the world. So it's funny how like this fun, silly thing that I do helps me in like my day-to-day life. Um, yeah. And they're all amazing. I love them so much. I'm gonna shout them out. Dan, Ash, Erica, Lizzie, Cal. They rock. They all rock so much.
And it's so nice to all, like you mentioned, you have kind of like the same ideals, and when you're writing together, it must feel very natural and collaborative. And you mentioned politics, you also cover topics like climate change. So like you said, very real world issues and topics. And you don't always see that in things like comedy
No.
shows.
No, yeah. You don't. And like our whole thing is like taking in the horrors of the world while laughing in the face of it all, because that's kind of all we can do, because so much is out of our control. So, and then also like one of my favorite things is whenever we've performed on like that like these like bigger sketch comedy festivals in like Toronto and in Montreal, and like most people come up to us and they'll be like, whoa, I like didn't know much about Canadian politics or like what's going on until we saw your show. And we're like, thank you. But then they're also like, but it was also kind of just like funny. Because you have to like ride that balance, right? Of like doing dumb, funny things in order for people to get like this like overarching like political or like satirical thing that we're trying to do. So it's a fun balance, and it's fun collaborating with this group of people in particular because we've all been together for like 5 or 6 years now. So we all know how each other's brains work and we know what people are capable of or what would challenge somebody, and we're not like no one's really like precious over like of 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 the work. So it's like it's actually like crazy how we've gotten so far into this space where we feel like we're progressing and going and going. And again, it's just like another art form that I freaking love. I love so much and it's so fun to do.
A little bit of education and entertainment never hurt
Exactly.
anybody.
I don't think so.
Before we talk about Bet, I do have to ask, how
Yes.
did you get to sing in Josh Groban's choir at some casino resorts in early 2020?
Oh my God. That's actually so funny because that's like one of my fun facts. Anytime someone's like, "You have a fun fact about yourself?" Or if I play two truths and a lie, I'm like, I sang backup for Josh Groban a couple times. Um, not a long story, but it's like but not like an interesting story. I was in a musical in Toronto called Bend It Like Beckham the Musical, and one of I know like of the movie, it was the real deal. Um, yes, I did that. It was yeah. hmm but one of our music directors, assistant music director, is he was in charge of like putting together these like choirs whenever Josh Groban came to like Southern Ontario to tour. And I'm like, I don't know what that position is or how you get that job, but I'm like, he's like, yeah, they always reach out to me and I just get a bunch of like musical theater people together and we like go to Niagara Falls or Windsor and we'll sing backup for Josh Groban. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, he just like reached out to me like the winter after I did Bend It Like Beckham and was like, want to do this? Your other friends are doing it. And I was like, okay. I mean, yeah, I know a couple of Josh Groban songs, but what one cool thing about that experience, though, I will say that I will always cherish because I think he's an amazing vocalist, is there was one song that only needed like four backup singers, like a soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And I was in that. And there's the last like two bars of the song, or like four bars of the song. It's just Josh Groban and me singing together and like harmonizing with each other. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I can say that there's been a moment in my life where just Josh Groban and I sang together. And I think we sounded pretty good together. So Josh, if you want to collab again, I'm here. But yeah, that's actually so funny. That's so funny that you found that out. I mean, it is on the internet. Also, fun fact, sorry, another fun fact about that story is when I performed, um, when we did that, one of the shows at one of the casinos, I got off stage and I got a text from someone from high school that I haven't really talked to in like ages, and she was like, "Are you singing backup for Josh Groban? My mom's there and she thought she saw you." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I am." And like that was really funny to me.
That's so funny. Like you literally, the mom was probably texting
Oh,
her child
100%.
like during the show, and she's like, that kid, that guy looks familiar."
Did you go to high school with that kid? Whoa, which I think is hilarious.
I mean, you did have a moment, so you can say you duetted with him. And did you get to sing backup on You Raise Me Up?
Yeah, that was one of the that wasn't like that was like the finale with like the whole choir. And that was really cool because it's that's such an iconic song with like a
Yeah, I
full
was gonna say
orchestra.
like the peak experience. It must have been so incredible to kind of just
Mhm.
be up on that stage. And how was he as a person, like
He's so
behind the
lovely.
scenes?
I remember so I did that a couple times. And the first time was just before COVID, and then the other times was just after COVID. So after COVID, we didn't really get to meet him because COVID. But before in like 2019 when I did it, he like came backstage and like one of the girls in our choir, um, who we love, she's like a big Josh Groban fan. And like she's like a part of his like fan club and stuff. Like it's so funny. And no, like not funny, like adorable. Like I love it. And she was like freaking out when like she met him when we were all there. We were all like, she's gotta be right beside him in the group picture. And he was really lovely. He was like, best choir ever. And we're like, thanks. Yeah, he was just like a really nice guy. Do you know what I mean?
Hopefully you get that opportunity again one day in the future. Like you mentioned, you're around to you're around for hire Josh Groban.
Yes.
In terms of celebrity encounters, you also saw from afar Nicole Kidman in France. So was that like at a museum? How did
That,
that come
hey,
about?
that was another crazy experience because um this was in 2022. Me and my two best friends, we went to France for like 2 weeks in the summer because we'd never been. And we a long flight, like long journey to get there. We basically flew overnight, didn't really get much sleep, and then we like landed at our hostel. We couldn't check in till like 3 o'clock, but we had tickets to the Musée d'Orsay. So we like dropped our stuff off, jet lagged, tired, also culture shocked because we'd never been before. We were like, whoa, what's happening? Went to the Musée d'Orsay, was like surrounded by this like amazing art and like seeing like original Van Goghs and like Seurat's and like all these like beautiful like works of art. And we were like tired, falling asleep, been awake for 24 hours. And then we're just about to head out, and we're in this one area of the museum. And then my friend goes, Rami, don't turn around. Rami, Rami, don't turn around. Nicole Kidman's behind you. Of course, I turned around. I was like, huh? And then she was like the gazelle of a woman, like over there. She was on a tour and like God bless her. Like she was giving the tour guide so much respect and attention. Because she could tell that people were starting to like swarm around her. But this tour guide was like giving her like the history of this like particular piece of art, and she was so invested in it, and it was so lovely to see her like give him that space. And we were like, whoa, so yes, we did take a little picture from afar because we're like, that's crazy. This is our first day in France and Nicole Kidman is here. Why? She was there for Fashion Week, we found out. She was walking in Balenciaga. Um, Saw Keith Urban as well, highlights and all. It was great. He was radiant. They were both such radiant people. And I was like, wow, wow, if only, if only. But yeah, that was
Did
a
they
fun.
have like a security detail around them?
I mean, maybe I would think so, but it wasn't like obvious. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like they were with a bunch of other Australian people, so I'm assuming it was their family, and they were just like all there in France together. But like there probably was security, but just
You know,
not like
hiding in the wings, making sure
yeah,
that
or just like
everything.
wearing regular clothes. You know what I mean? So that, yeah, so that they could probably feel safe because people started to like circle around. No one like went up to them, but yeah, we were like, that's crazy. Okay, I gotta go take a nap now. Bye. But yeah, it was sick.
That was cool because you think about these random encounters, right? And here you are in a completely new country. You like you mentioned you're jet lagged and oh, there's Nicole and Keith.
Yeah. First hours in this country. And I'd never been there before. I was like, whoa, okay. This is what dreams are made of, period.
A little Hillary Duff,
Yeah,
Lizzie
I really
McGuire
felt
reference there.
well, yes, of course. Well, yes, of course.
We'll get into Bet now. And of course, we are discussing spoilers. So, for all those watching this interview, please make sure you finished season one before continuing. You star as Rex in Bet. So, what can you share about your audition process and what you were told about the show and the character you auditioned for?
So I originally auditioned for Suki, which is really fun. So did that and I remember when it came I got the audition, it was like based on an anime, like beauty influencer. And that's all I really got. And like some little bits about the character, but nothing really about the world. Just about the fact that like everyone's gambling at the school. And I don't remember if they explained the house pet system in the breakdown, but they may have. I don't think so. But just like underground gambling was like the big thing, and it was like I was like, okay, and they were like Scott Pilgrim, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm locked into this. And I remember reading the sides and just being like, huh, this feels different in a really great way and very like up my alley as a performer. And did the audition, did the callbacks with Simon Barry, who was amazing, and it was so much fun. I just remember that being a very like fun audition experience because the material was fun, but then also the people behind the scenes were really, really fun. So so yeah, and then like, didn't get Suki obviously because Ryan Sutherland is like so perfect for that role. Like it makes sense. And then heard back from them and they offered me Rex. They were like, it's a smaller part, but he's in this world and he's like Suki's right hand, like he's his pet. And I was like, okay, like, and so then I had to like re-audition for that, and they gave me a scene that was actually cut. It was at Suki's funeral, um, and it's like this moment where Rex just goes like, he'll revenge you. Someone's gonna kill all of you. Like he just like crashes out, and I was like, that's funny to me. That's so fun to me. Um, so yeah, and then like everything kind of worked out. I booked it and then it was just it was very like positive, the whole experience, I think is like the best thing I can really say about it. Like yeah, I just remember not really getting much information on who like Rex was. Like obviously a lot of it came down to like me just kind of figuring it out and like making it up. But it was fun to do that. You don't really get that much kind of like leverage as an actor sometimes. So there was lots of fun to be had there. And then when I met everyone, I was like, oh, there's something fun going on here. Like everyone here is really locked in and really cool and really, really gets it.
We'll talk about some of that background for Rex in just a moment, but did you draw inspiration for him from any specific characters in the source material or any other fictional characters or performances?
I think for me in the anime, there was like so many characters who were there was a lot of like dom sub kind of stuff going on in like certain characters' relationships. And there were some house pets that loved being a house pet, or like some people who loved to serve the student body president. And that was always really interesting to me of like, why are you like latching on to this person? Or like why is that the glue, or why is that the like um why are these people so attracted to these people in high positions? And then really like getting into the world of it, I was like, oh, this is their hierarchy. This is how it works. This is how their system is, and it's how some people are like taught to feel. And in Kakegurui Twin, like the spin-off with Mary's character, I watched that anime and there's a character who's a house pet on a leash. Um, why the name is for escaping me right now is crazy. I'm gonna Google it. One second. This is unprofessional, but I need to know the name because it's right there for me. Kakegurui twin leash character. Oh, Mikura. And she's like redhead and she's on a leash and she is like obsessed with her owner. And yeah, so there was something about her and like her want and need to like impress her owner, that was fascinating to me, to pull from. But then also in terms of like Rex is so comedic relief, like it wasn't ever that like there was the flip end to it of like finding like the moments of funny and like these moments of like desperation for him. And I think there's so many characters across like the comedy world that really helped me out with that. Honestly, like Bowen Yang and Wicked, like his character, like the Fanny, or yeah, character of just like this groupie of Glinda, like really, really was like I was like, oh, yep, there's that for me. Or like in 30 Rock, Alec Baldwin's assistant is like so up his butt. It's like it's so funny. Um, so yeah, there was lots of that. It was lots of like picking and choosing. And then also just kind of like things that I thought were funny because I got to improvise a lot. So yeah, so just like moments that I was like, oh, yeah, that I'm gonna do this because I think it's funny, or I'm gonna do that because I think it really fits into the world right here, but is also just funny to me because I was there to like help make jokes and bring levity to the show.
And it's all really about, buying into this role, buying into this character. And you had the personality, but you also had like the physical mannerisms. And for you, a lot of that was like informed by being a dog and an animal. So what did you do to kind of prepare for that? Like, did you watch any programs? Did you just like look at how dogs moved? Like, how did you find that physical movement aspect for him?
I mean, funnily enough, when I was a baby, I was on a leash. So one might say that this is like like a callback for me or something. But no, I don't know. I was again like back to movement, like we talked about earlier, of just um like the outside in of it all. I kind of wanted to find that on my own because I didn't want it to be super like I don't want it to be too much. Like I knew that my character, the way that I appeared, and like once I got to like try on my costume and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna put this wig on you." I was like, "Oh, okay." And they really like the costume department and our hair and makeup departments were so kind of on board with my character, um, and really helped me work from the outside in terms of like how this character behaves. And once I saw my aesthetics and learned what I was gonna be or what I looked like, it really helped me um kind of realize that like, oh, I'm like a very like anime-y character in this show. And it was fun to be able to have like moments of just like I would always kind of keep my like feet in and like my hands would be like this a lot of the time or just like whether I'm like just doing my own thing or whatever. Like there was something super like inwards about him because his outfits were so outwards. And yeah. So a lot. There was a lot of things that kind of helped me with that, but it was mostly just like it wasn't any sort of outsource like outside material. It was more like putting on the costume, putting on the makeup, putting on the hair. It just kind of allowed me to see where he kind of lived physically in my own body, if that makes any sense.
Definitely. And you want to kind of form that yourself. Like you mentioned, it really helps when you put the costume on and you have like the wig. And I hope you stretched your wrists after that because
Oh,
I can
so much. I
imagine
was
being
like,
in this position. Like,
honestly, it was more my hips because I would like keep my legs turned in. So it was just like any chance I had, I was just kind of stretching them out. But like I didn't think of it in the long haul. I did it in a couple episodes and I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing it. And then lo and behold, 10 episodes later, I was like, I did this for like 3 months of my life. So let's stretch it out. Let's take it easy. Let's be careful. Let's be careful. But yeah, it was really, really fun to be able to do that. 'Cause it's so opposite from me as a person.
can you share some insight now into any backstory or childhood you created for Rex or discussed with others that really helped inform who he is when we meet him? For example, like his parents, wealth, like his reasons for being at St. Dom's, because we know from the show that a lot of parents send their kids there for some particular reason.
Mhm. First and foremost, like I like Rex is clearly like a queer character and he's also a South Asian character. So I remember like being brought on because I was like the last cast member to kind of be brought on into the world, right? So I kind of had a bit of catching up to do. But I remember like when we were like we were filming like episode like 2 or 3 and I was chatting with Simon Barry and he was like, tell me like what do you think about your character? And I really didn't get the opportunity or the time to really like do as much of that work as I'd like to at that up until that point. So him really giving me that space of that was really, really cool to me. So like he was like, yeah, text me a little bit of a backstory. So it was fun to just be able to be like, be and just kind of like word vomit. And he was so receptive to it. In like Punjabi, there's like swears and like slurs that are referred to like queer people that associate them with dogs or like dog calling someone a dog is like like a swear or something. So there was something interesting about that to me, of how like this young person may be reclaiming this, or he may be fitting into that archetype or that thing that's so offensive to people, whether it's intentional or not. And there was something about that that kind of fascinated me, and that made me feel like he was kind of strong in a way. In terms of like backstory, I I have this thought and this idea, and again, this is just for me. but may not be real to the actual world of the show. I think that Rex is just like I feel like his parents are swimming in it. I feel like his parents are like loaded and they're like CEOs of like some like corporation in like Dubai or something, and like his parents sent him to St. Dom's to like straighten him out or whatever. But I think his I feel like this happens with a lot of like young queer people of just like you meet another queer person in close proximity to you and you just kind of are like that person's so comfortable in their skin and so who they are. I want to be everything that they are. And I feel like Rex kind of saw that in Suki, and in his deranged, kind of like not so smart way, was like, oh, the best way for me to be friends with this person or be around in this person's orbit is to be his biggest fan, is to be his house pet. Because if I lose a gamble to him, then I'm his forever. So I think that Rex is like a victim of the system and doesn't know any better. And is like is so thinks it's like a privilege for him to like be around Suki to fully like be himself and kind of reclaim this like dog title too and like lean into it. There's also like this like this like dynamic of like, oh, like Suki's a beauty influencer. Does he like is like Rex like his doll in that sort of sense? So like is Rex like does he like test everything on Rex? Does he like do all this stuff with Rex? Or like is he like the reason Rex feels like he needs to and wants to like go to these extents on his like appearance. So yeah, I don't know. For me, it's very loose because I'm so open because I don't want to be stuck to anything as an actor in terms of like his background. But it was really cool to be able to like have those conversations with Simon and some of our writers just to give them a bit of insight on like me and where I'm kind of at with the character, but I'm so open to it changing. We joke around a lot that we're like, oh, what if Rex is just like a really good gambler, but he's just like purposely bad and losing and purposely went into debt because he just wanted to be in Suki's orbit. And I honestly think there's a lot of truth to the fact that he intentionally went into become a house pet. So so yeah, I guess that's kind of like where I sit with like the background and the conversations that I've had with myself and with other people about Rex.
I love that. And like you mentioned, it's not canon. But that being said, I think like when you're kind of developing a character, like any kind of tidbits that you can come up with can be helpful for his intentions and maybe the decision making in some scenes. You briefly talked about, working with hair and wardrobe. So how exactly would you describe Rex's aesthetic? Like what was presented to you by them, and how was it just being in the hair, makeup, wardrobe chairs every day with the teams?
It was amazing. I love it. Charlene, our head of wardrobe, Renee Chan, our head of hair, and Catherine Vino, our head of makeup, were like literally such angels to me. Because again, I was the last person there. I originally wasn't supposed to be in the show as much as I was, and then was in the show as much as I was. So they really, really took such care of me and were so open to any conversation that I wanted to have in terms of my aesthetic because they had a little bit more free range with me. It was kind of funny. I ended up kind of being like their little doll to play with sometimes. Because I was so game for like anything because I was just so happy to be there and have the opportunity and so excited about the fact that I would get to wear these crazy outfits and get to put on these wigs and get to do all this makeup because I don't get to do that ever, right? Like it's such a joy and a privilege as an actor to be able to really put on a skin that's completely different from yours. So I remember walking into my first fitting with Charlene, and it was they were like, okay, so he's Rex, we're really gonna give him like Prince George, like Kate Winslet's son. You're gonna look like a baby the whole time. We're gonna put you in the shortest shorts. You're gonna wear a t-shirt, and then here's your leash. And I was like, oh, so we're gonna really lean into the dog thing? And they were like, oh, yeah, 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 we're not done yet. And I was like, huh? And then they put a beret, that white beret on me. And then they were like, I was like, oh, I love a beret. And they're like, not done yet. And then they pinned the dog ears on. And I was like, oh, we're going dog. And they said, we're not done yet. And I was like, what else? And they gave me my little scrunchies on my wrists and on my ankles. And I was like, oh, here we are. Here we are. And that was my first like kind of like taste of Rex in that sense. And it was really, really fun. It was really, really funny. Again, once I realized that's what they were on board with and the show was on board with, I was on board with it. And then of course there were certain things where if I was like, I don't feel comfortable wearing this, or I'm like, oh, this is too tight for me, or this is they'd be like, of course, yep. And then same with hair and makeup. They were so experimental, had so much fun. Catherine, our head of makeup, was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you today. And then we just go boop, 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 and then be like, done, perfect. And I was like, and I looked like a doll. I was just like, my face was beat. I was like, and I was like, sick, okay. Um, yeah, and Renee was so amazing with hair too, and the fact that she was just like, I didn't know I was gonna be wigged until my first day on set. And then she was like, because she texted me a bit, she was like, I think we're gonna wig you or maybe not. And I was like, okay, I'm open for whatever. And then I get in the chair and she's like, here's your wig, plop. And I was like, oh. And then they put the beret on top of that, and I was like, dog. Poodle. Nice. Fun. But again, I was so game for it because they were so game for it. And then as the show went on, we just got excited about what Rex's new look would be or like what the next episode would have and like what the next episode would have. And then yeah, it was really, really fun. It was like that was a great part of the experience. Mind you, I was always the first one in the makeup chair. So I was always there at like 4 in the morning before everyone.
And aside from, all the bows and the scrunchies they threw on you, there's also the chains on the clothing that really also played into, that kind of pet, that
Mhm.
leash look as well. And you have an Instagram post expressing your gratitude for Rex's Met Gala look, which was written from your experience as a queer Pakistani Canadian artist. So can you expand upon how special this outfit was for you and your identity and how you collaborated on it?
It was actually crazy. So again, I didn't know I was going to be in the Met Gala until like 2 weeks before. They just kind of added me in because they're like, "Oh, Suki's coming back. He's got to be there. Like he's a part of Suki's world, right?" So I remember we were filming like 2 episodes before. We were on like location somewhere, and I had a costume fitting for the Met Gala in my trailer. So Charlene and Sophie, one of the other costume department folks, came into my trailer, and they were like, "Ooh, look, we have." And it was again just kind of a basic Rex look, like shorts, a leash, like a more like fun bedazzled harness, and then um, it was like a collarless shirt. And then I saw that shirt and was like, oh, that's very much like a kurta from like my culture. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, like the collarless part, it's like very narrow. It looks like a kurta. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. You didn't know you were South Asian. And I was like, yeah, I am. And then they were like, okay, try this outfit on. We'll be right back. And they left the trailer. And then I put the costume on, didn't think anything of it. I was just excited at the fact that I had a little bit of culture in that little collar or that no collar, I guess. And I was like, hey, I'm done. They barged back into my trailer. They're like, hey, we're not gonna do this. And I was like, what? And like we have another idea, and how would you feel about like jewelry? And I was like, oh yeah. And they're like, okay, like the South Asian jewelry. And they just kind of like it was so cool to see their brains work in that moment because the way that I just said one little thing and it like went into all these different directions. So they were like, no, we want to give you like that full South Asian look. They were like, we want this for you if you're okay with it. And I was like, yes. And I was like, oh my God, guys, this is so exciting. And then we started like getting about getting to put this jewelry on and like bangles and like having like a little like henna design on like and doing all these really, really cool things, even just with my outfit and getting a different shirt. And then we all just kind of started crying because we were like, I was like, shut up. And like Charlene was like, no, like as long as you're okay with it and any like potential like conversations that could come out of it. Like, I just want you to feel safe and feel comfortable. And I was like, no, yes, this is me fulfilling that like Bollywood dream as a kid. Like, I get to look like Aishwarya Rai or like Madhuri Dixit and these people that I've like seen growing up. And they were like, that's crazy. And then hair and makeup were both just like on board. And I sent them like reference images of like this like South Asian like wedding makeup and stuff like that. And then like different like random like hair things to Renee. And then Renee was like, I have this hair piece. We're gonna make it work. And I was like, okay. And it came together in a matter of like weeks, which was cra like not even like a week, which was crazy to me. I was like, everyone's brain here is so amazing. And it was such a cool collaborative thing, and they gave me so much say in it as well as the actor, which is so rare when it comes to this industry. Like, you don't get that much like attention when it comes to, or no, you don't get that much say when it comes to your look sometimes, which makes sense. But it was really really cool to like to get that and just like feel that and own that and feel that like androgyny and like know that that's like almost like a huge part of my culture too, and just and like ancestral to like to me of just like the playing with the fluidity of gender was really really cool. So I'm forever grateful for that. I think it was a great experience for me.
I'm glad that you got to really tap into, your South Asian culture and heritage, and that the teams behind the scenes were so open to working with you on that. And I mean, the nose chain and the jewelry was exquisite.
It
So
was
you
so fun.
definitely had that Bollywood moment.
It was great. It hurt my face because I don't have any piercing, so it was all like screw on and clip in. But I was like, Beyonce said it pretty hurts. Pretty hurts. It's okay. I look great. It's just for 2 days. But it was sick. It was amazing.
You already kind of touched on, Rex's house pet relationship with Suki and maybe the motivations for continuing to stay in house pet status. How do you think he is treated by Suki on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, because I have a soft spot for Rex, I want to say that Suki actually treats him kind of well. Um, or like, I don't know. I think there's something, Ryan Sutherland and I have talked about this a couple times where like we think that Rex has a crush on Suki, but Suki doesn't have a crush on Rex because Suki's just like super narcissistic. Um, but there's still like a care between the two of them. It's like Rex will do anything and everything for Suki, and if and Suki like depends on that on his like day to day. So we always talk about the idea of like, what if like Rex isn't there for Suki at some point? Like, what if like Rex quits? Like, Suki's life would fall apart. Um, so I do think in their like dynamic of like I guess you could say like abuse or like house pet to owner. Like, I do think it's a lot better. I think I get it a lot better than Kira's house pet does. I don't think I'm getting push pins into my mouth. I don't think there's any violence happening to me, but I do think that I am it's more emotional, if anything. I think that relationship and that like the negative sides of that relationship I think are all like emotional, and like there's so much that Rex does for Suki that goes unseen. Um and because Rex is a victim of the system, I think that he just thinks it's normal. So I personally am excited to see where the Rex and Suki relationship is to go, if it were to go any further, like what that looks like, because I think we could really play into more of like how we're treated behind the scenes. We have this joke where um we're like, it's a rumor around the school that Rex and Suki have like crazy Friday nights. Like, they're doing the most like debaucherous stuff. They're doing crazy, 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 crazy stuff. And Dory like really, really wants to get in on it. But maybe one day she gets into it and we're just like watching a movie. Like, and it's just like the most mundane thing. And people just think that we're crazier than we are. I think that that's a big part of it. Again, because it's all about like image with those two characters, right? And how they come across.
Definitely. And that's such a big factor into, how people are seen at the school, whether they are feared, whether they are ridiculed. And of course, Suki spits out his gum. We see this in the show, and Rex is more than happy and eager to hold out his hand for for
Right.
daddy. Which is like,
Yes.
there's those dynamics where he's just so eager to please and want to be seen in a good light by Suki. How much of student council activity do you think Suki shares with Rex? Because at the same time, Rex is around, Kira and the student council quite a bit, like in their entrance scenes. So would you consider him to have a bit of insider info, or does Suki keep him on the outside regarding that?
Well, like you see Rex filming all of Suki's like TikToks and stuff, right? And all his content. So I think I think Rex knows as much. I personally think Rex knows as much as Suki knows. And I feel like Suki only knows as much as Kira wants him to know. So I think it's that like chain down, I'm just kind of like a worker bee to Suki. So I'm getting fed all the positive things about Kira from Suki. You know what I mean? And I don't think he knows the bits and pieces because I also think that like Suki and Kira are like Suki's kind of one of Kira's minions, right? So then and if I'm one of Suki's minions, it's like yeah, I personally think that I'm aware of a lot of the actions of student council, not the behind the scenes kind of work. But again, because I'm like a part of the system, I think that I'm an asset to them in a sense where I'm like, this house pet likes it. Everyone be like this house pet. Or like, when you have like oppressive systems, it's just kind of like the sheeple that I am, that Rex is. So yeah, I think there's something really interesting in the fact that Rex knows more than the average person at the school does.
But obviously, at this point in time, he doesn't have the motivation to do anything with that information. Like you mentioned, part of the system for student council right now, he's just a model house pet. So Suki is announced to have unexpectedly passed at the end of episode 2. How do you think Rex has been doing emotionally in the episodes that follow? And can you maybe shed some light on what really you think happened to Rex? Because with Suki gone, like, was his ownership transferred to another master? How exactly would that have worked in the system?
Well, I think that because Suki passed, like Rex was out of house pet status. But he chose to continue to wear his house pet thing. Like there's a little detail on my house pet lanyard in the episodes where Suki is passed where I have a broken heart on it. It's like a sticker and it's a broken heart. So I kept it. I think if anything, Rex just was shambles and like didn't talk to anyone. I think like he wasn't in the house wars. He sat them out. Do you know what I mean? Like I think he was so sad. And again, so again from like what student council's keeping from him, like Suki never told him that that was going to happen. So it was, yeah, I do think that he fell into like a deep depression for whatever that means. I think he was lost. There's no one to hold his leash. You know what I mean? Like he's been so accustomed to this system and uh his motivation was to always like please and appease Suki. And with that gone, I just think he was lost. But I also don't think, because then Suki comes back, I don't think he had enough time without Suki to know who he was without him. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah. So I think he just kind of went through the 7 stages of grief, but didn't get to finish them all because Suki came back. So he was like, hey, back to back, because change is scary. Like, so back to the same old. It was like perfect outcome for him. But I'm also interested to see who Rex is outside of Suki as well.
Definitely, because we don't get to see, peel back the layers of, okay, where was he before all of this?
Yeah.
And you mentioned filming a scene that didn't make the cut, have him crashing out. So I do wish we got to see that, because we did see obviously Rex wailing at the end of episode
Mhm.
2 when that news was announced, but you can see he's going through it.
Oh,
Whose idea was the Have Sex with Rex poster, and who put that together?
That was written in the script. That was our writers. I believe it was our Amanda who wrote that in the script. Yeah. Yeah, that was that like we did the read through of that episode and that was there. The half sex it was just that. And I remember I had to do a little photo shoot with me like doing different poses and stuff that they put on the poster. And then our guys like they just made it. It was in the script. Like it wasn't like any it was always gonna happen. But the fun thing is I got to improvise lines when as Ryan closed the door and they went with like I'll let you play with my hairy balls because I had my little hair no. And that way that was tidbit. That was a really, really fun day because our director Jackie Gold was like we were doing like we were doing just like walking and stuff and they were like yeah just like they're like here's a couple lines you could say they like wrote stuff out and I was like oh cool and I was like do you guys mind if I improvise and they were like oh okay I was like I can test some stuff out in the blocking and then I did and then Jackie was like wait he's kind of funny and she wanted like a really genuine reaction from Ryan being like what the hell um so when we started filming, we did a couple takes, and then she comes up to me and she's like, Rami, I want you to just say anything. Anything that comes to your mind. I need to get a raw, crazy reaction from Io. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay. Like, here we go. I'm gonna go for it. And then I said the Harry Balls thing, and I just remember I just remember Io like breaking in that moment and him going, wait, can we just do one take where Rex doesn't say anything because I need to get it? And we were like, no, we hear you. And that was a really, really fun day because I just love to bother Io. I love to bother Io. He's so easy to tease, so it was really, really fun to let that like seep into the show, you know?
He definitely needed a take where he was focused to look like absolutely like annoyed and disgusted
Yeah.
versus laughing
Yeah.
like
Oh,
when you made him
100%.
laugh.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
And it was so funny, in that moment because you see Rex throwing himself, you see Chad throwing himself
Mhm.
at Ryan as well. Suki, oh, before we get to that, did you get to take the poster home or
I wish. No.
you're like, come on,
No.
it has my face on it. I
I know.
mean,
I should have asked, but I got lots of pictures of me with the poster, and I think that's great. Um, yeah, no, I think they wanted to keep it. I think I asked, and they're like, maybe. But I was like, it's like Dollarama. Like, come on, like, let me have it.
make another one, right? If you need a
Yeah,
second.
yeah, come on.
Well, maybe for season two, you'll be able to find it in the props department or
Exactly.
archives. Suki revealed to be alive, and the pair competes in the house pet hunt in episode 7. So, what memories do you have from those specific scenes, including being shot with multiple arrows?
That was probably the craziest time for me. Because so we were in the forest and we were filming in the forest. I'm wearing full Converse heels. You don't really see them. I'm wearing like heels in the forest. Um, and that's fine and all, but it was kind of crazy. It was hot. I remember it being hot. I remember my feet hurting, and then I also remember the way they did the darts in me is I essentially had like plastic armor that was like shaped to my body that they strapped in that had little screws that these darts would screw into. So I was like and they were everywhere. There was some here, there was some here, there was some like in my butt. So it's like I had this like again, the best way to say it is like armor just like strapped onto me in the most weird places. And I was just kind of like waddling around the woods with just like in like the most uncomfortable way. And I couldn't really sit down in between takes at some point because I had these arrows up my butt. So I literally was just kind of like sprawled out in a sprinter van, just kind of like this for like half a day. Until they were able to take everything off of me. But it was fun because I got to do something I never got to do, but it was also insane because I was so uncomfortable. Like and everyone knew it. Like it was like 14-hour days we were outside and like but everyone was so kind to me about it too because I was just kind of like guys, this is crazy. My body is in so much pain right now. And they're like, no, yeah. And they're like, can I get you anything? Do you want, would it help if you sat like this or if you like were able to put your feet up on this like stool or something? And everyone was so lovely to me about it. But it was a lot. It was a lot. But again, I look back at it and I smile because it was still fun to do.
No pain, no gain, but I'm guessing you
Exactly.
didn't get much schoolwork done on that day.
Oh no. Oh no. I was like, okay. Once because like we had a fitting for the armor and I was like, okay. So I'm just those are the 2 days where I'm really just gonna focus on
Lie down and take
yeah.
that additional rest, I
Yeah.
guess.
I was like on my phone, just in the woods. But it was
We
fine. It was cool.
we do get a glimpse of the leaderboard after that game event, and you see that Rex is quite deep in the negatives. He's ranked like 94. So I'm guessing since Suki returned, he's done some more bad gambling to get himself
I
back
guess
down there.
I guess so. Or I wonder if Suki coming back to life, everything just kind of reinstated. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, he was never actually dead, so there's a loophole. He's still this ranked on student council and all his pets. Um, yeah, sorry, I never clocked that I was number 94. That's so funny. Yeah. And hey, I technically did get out of house pet status because we won the hunt, but then I chose to still be a pet. So that says a lot about Rex, you know?
Yeah. Can you take me through Rex's specific school board retreat scenes? I guess we'll start with the one where you were more of a primary player in, which was the degrading piggy bank game. So tell me a bit about that one and why Rex enjoys participating.
That was so fun to shoot. That was actually probably one of my favorite things. Again, hot day. We were outside. It was kind of crazy, but fun. Um, yeah, I think Rex is trying to impress Suki. Like this is stuff that he does for him. Like he goes out of his way. Like Suki organized this game. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna play for you. I'm excited. I feel like Rex plays this game every year he's gone to this retreat. And I think my favorite thing about doing that and filming that fight scene and filming my like Rex's excitement to play this game and how he has like a strategy going into it. Um, you see a different side of him. You see like an aggressive side to him. He's not like taking it. He's really like actively trying to win this game. And that was fun to do to just kind of live in this like more violent place for this character, which it still felt really in like the world of who he is. So that was my takeaway from that and my little insight to that character and like, oh, what this character is capable of doing. Um, and that excited me. And that was crazy to shoot. I was just again thrown into that. We didn't choreograph my stunt stuff until the day of. And then the fact that I like climbed a little bit and got knocked down and when Io's fighting all those servers and he like hits the guy in the nuts and I'm like again thrown into that scene on the day. They were like, just don't get hit. And I was like, okay. But everyone who was there, like all the servers were such professionals, or all professional stunt people. They all took care of me. They were like, really took me through every step of the choreography that they were doing. So it was I felt so safe in that space in those scenes, and it was so fun. It was so fun. I never get to beat people up.
And really making sure that, okay, they're like, we're gonna run this by you, make sure that you're not in anyone's like lines when they're throwing the punches.
Yeah, and also because like I come from a theater background and I've done stage combat before. I know how important all that is. And I was so just like, hey, if I get into somebody's way, please just push me aside. Like and it all worked out. Everyone was so locked in, such professionals. They knew what they were doing. They had done this before. So it was like sick. It was sick to just like be a part of it.
And then Rex was more of a spectator in a few big moments. There was the big blackjack game, Kira getting slapped by her father, and then the announcement of Gabriel's death. So, can you take me through those scenes from Rex's perspective?
Yeah. My, yeah, I think Rex, this was kind of the first time that Rex was privy to some of the drama happening outside of the school in the sense that like obviously he doesn't have a close relationship with Kira or Michael or his father or anything. So like the fact that like he saw some of these characters in these characters to who him like have like such status in his brain kind of be very human and mess up and show emotion and show like the fact that they're like not okay and like humanize themselves in a way like in a very crazy way that the show does. Um, I think that has so much potential for Rex to kind of see the cracks within the system that he's a part of. Like I think after this season, there's so much more of a jumping off point to see this character who's at the literal bottom of the leaderboard, find out learn about like why the system is bad. Um, so that is what excited me as the actor about those scenes. From Rex's perspective, I think he was just in so much shock and was just kind of like, Suki, what's happening? But also Suki was like too drunk at that party that he was just kind of like, whoa. Um, yeah. And also just like as an actor, as me, it was really cool to like witness my cast members just get to do such good and like vulnerable work and I learned so much from them of just being like you guys are really going for it and it's really cool to see. It's really really cool to see and it's really inspiring to me as an actor to see the bravery that like Miku and that Clara and that Anwen they all had in those moments of just like intensity and Eve just like there was so much going on for like those characters in those moments and it was so cool to see them handle it with such grace and such clarity. Yeah.
That's such nice words from you. And yeah, I spoke with a few of them, and especially with Clara. And then I don't think that maybe you were not in the background of the scene, the strangling scene between
We were
Clara and Anwen, and how difficult that was to shoot, but it came together so well, like in the
we
final product.
we were in the background for that. We watched all of that kind of happen and it was like wild to watch. I remember it was because it was like me, Aviva, Ryan, Io, were all kind of like in this little clump, just kind of watching that, and we're just kind of like, oh, it's crazy. Oh, but also just like kudos to them for just yeah, giving themselves such grace and their characters such momentum to get to that point where it breaks like that is hard, hard work. So they were amazing.
Which was your favorite scene as a viewer in season one, and why?
The finger guillotine, hands down. The finger guillotine was that episode was so much fun. Because of the fan service, because we really got to like witness and like see all these really cool games. And it was like the last time we filmed at like on our set at that school, because after that we went to the getaway, the cottage. So um it felt very like right and it was fun. There's some clips that I think that got lost in the edit of just while they were snipping the wires for the guillotine, they me Aviva and Ryan were just there watching and all three of us got like really into it and we're like and we're like getting really like, for lack of a better word, just kind of like horny for it. Like we were all like, oh my God, yeah, keep going, keep going. And it just made me like So it was just so fun to be a part of the energy of that scene that kind of helped uplift like Miku and Eve's performance and and all that and like be a spectator. And even all of our background actors were so locked in that moment because it's such a big moment for those characters. And it was so cool to just be a part of that ensemble that kind of fed into it. And then watching them do it was so fun. It was so cool. They were so cool. And then yeah. Yeah, it reminded me of being in theater again, of just the fact that like the world that we've created in this space with all these people, I felt like translated so much on camera in that moment. And it was really cool to be a part of it. But yeah, we were like jumping on each other and holding each other and being like, oh yeah, this is so good. Yeah. And and it felt so true to like the anime in that moment.
It's definitely like one of those scenes where, the anticipation is building and you can feel like that probably that electricity and that ma like magnetic feeling in the room. Your frequent scene partner was, of course, Ryan Sutherland as Suki. So how was Ryan to work with and for you to get to play off and feed into those playful dynamics that your characters share?
So fun. So fun. Ryan and I, we met, we had like what's it called? Like a card, like a playing card boot camp, like a card trick boot camp. And that was the first day I met Ryan. And we like instantly hit it off. We both were like, oh, you did musical theater, you did musical theater. We kind of like locked in that moment. And then realized we had like so many interests outside of that, and like we got to know each other. And then we developed like a banter like fairly quickly or and it just kind of like propelled within the show. And then it was so fun in like the hunt when we got like so much time together. We would just like improvise bits of us like wandering around in the woods and stuff and like chatting about things and just like, oh Rex, what do you think of and it was so silly and so funny. And there's so much like background chatter that the two of us do. Like we're like it's the two of us just like lollygagging in the background of a scene and something important's happening and we would just be like doing bits together as like Suki and Rex. In the final two episodes when we're at the party, there's like especially like the end of episode 9 and in episode 10, we're just kind of like in the party and truly lollygagging and there's like a bit where like we're both teasing Chad with like my leash being like you want it don't you no you can't have it you can't have it and like dumb stuff like that. And I think we both really found the comedy of our characters and we both found how we could play off of each other. So yeah, and it was just such a fun relationship to just kind of like dive into. And we really like, yeah, he's great. He's funny. He's so funny and he gets it. And it was so fun to like be like play off with someone who kind of gets it and you could riff. And then if we went too far, somebody like too far, and we go, okay, we'll reel it back.
I'd be curious to be a fly on the wall in some of their conversations because I can imagine it's very Suki centered. Like it would always like I'm sure Suki would talk to Rex, but it's always like gonna come back to something for his own personal gain or
100%.
self-worth or ego.
I came to this conclusion that we're very much like Santana and Brittany from Glee, if you've know Glee, where like he's more Santana and Rex is more Brittany, of just kind of like the aloofness, and then the one person who's a little bit more like on it and is just kind of like it's like centered around them and is kind of a dick. So there's something funny about that with the two of us, I think, you know? Yeah. I love it. It's so fun to do.
What can you say about your back cast and what is your favorite memory from working with them?
Oh, I hate them all. Boo. No. They're amazing. They're truly amazing. We got to do so much, uh, we got to do so much together. Like, it's kind of, we talk about this often. It's so rare to have a cast where, of what, like 11 people, where everyone gets along and everyone everyone has a relationship with everyone. Like you know when you're in like big groups of friends, there's like one or two people that you're like, I don't really want to sit and chat with them one on one. Like there's nobody in the group like that. Like I feel like I could always have a conversation with anyone, always feel safe to like chat with anyone in that group. And they're all so lovely. They're just like grounded people. And we all like shared this experience that was so singular and special to us, especially since we're like all Canadian, all young actors. We're all kind of new to this. So we all were there for each other and supported each other. And like in terms of favorite memory, just like the summer as a whole that we got to spend together. Because again, like I was brought on like last, so I kind of was getting to know everyone while we were filming. And like yeah, and so just like it was those moments like off camera or like the moments where we would hang out outside of work or like stuff like that that was really, really special to me because you could tell we were just like enjoying each other's company. Also, filming in Uxbridge for the final two episodes was kind of fun because it was just us. And it was, those episodes were fun because it was the first time you felt like the characters felt like kids because you saw their parents. And then behind the scenes, we all were just kind of like digging around like we were kids at like a family function. So it was very, very fun. I love all of them so much.
I saw some behind the scenes videos where you were doing like the improv.
Yeah. That was peak level delusion, brain rot. We were so tired and we said, what if we did improv? And it wasn't great improv, and I can stand by that. And you know what? Not everything's gonna be great improv.
I mean, it was fun, and those are like the memories that you keep. And yeah, it was you and Ryan, and then I know Hunter jumped in as well. And I mean, you were all just having a time, you were having a moment. But those are kind of what brings you back to those fun times on set. How was it working with your showrunner Simon Barry and his creative vision for the show, along with your other directors and creative team?
Yeah, Simon is amazing. He, from the minute, I remember like from my first callback, the minute I got to meet him and his like attitude in a callback room was so different from what I've ever experienced. He straight up was like, "Hey, I'm Simon, and I really loved your work. And this callback is for us to make sure that we get the best version of you. So whatever I can do to help you, I'm all here for it. And whatever, like, yeah, it was very whatever I can do for you. We're in this together. It was very much, I want you to succeed. I think you're great. This is why you're here. I don't have the final decision of casting, but it was so forthcoming. It was so lovely. And then getting to know him like over set, like he kind of became like we because we're all so new, we're all so like young in this industry. Like he was so forthcoming with so much information. We could always go to him if we had something concerning us. He kind of became like a pseudo like dad to us on set. And he really took care of us and our characters and heard us out if we had questions about our characters and wouldn't and understood that we were all smart actors and had and didn't belittle us because I find that lots of like like people who've done this for a while will not take in a new perspective sometimes and he was so willing to do that and then it reflected on the rest of the team like all of our other directors we were felt so comfortable talking to like our writers too were so open and we got like to chat and have relationships and just like get to know them a bit more as people because of like the environment that Simon created and it trickled down and we all had a blast shooting the show because of it. He's amazing. Can't say any bad things about him. Not that I would.
I was gonna say, yeah, it definitely is like a top-down approach, and it's so nice to see that leadership and that grace coming from someone like Simon, who has such a wealth of experience himself as well. If renewed for a second season, you briefly touched on this, but can you kind of summarize what you would like to explore with Rex? And are there any other storylines for other characters that you would be excited to see more of?
Yeah, yeah. Well, for Rex, I would love to see what happens because I've had this conversation with some of our writers before where like throughout the first season, you really see it's mostly like the not white characters who are all at the bottom trying to climb their way up to the top. And Rex is the only one who kind of stays at the bottom. And I wonder, like what I touched on of like kind of seeing the cracks in the system at the end of episode 10, if that gives him that motivation to see what he is without Suki, um, to see where he can go or who he can be without that. Like what does that mean? And how does he break away? Like we always talk about like Rex and Suki are gonna break up at some point, but we don't know how. And I think both of their lives would change drastically, and I think it could crumble the system. I think the students are very divided right now, and I think that Rex could easily be used as a pawn for, someone like Riri or someone like Kira or even like Yumiko. But the opportunity has to present itself, and I think that would be really, really fun. I'd be really, really interested to see him just kind of like I'd be interested to learn more about what he knows. And I think again, there's such a jumping off point for it right now for him to be able to do that. So if we do get a season two, which fingers crossed, I would love that. And I'm also just excited to see the div like because everyone's so divided right now. Like there's a divide between Michael and Yumiko and and Clara and sorry, not Clara, Kira and Michael and Riri and Clara and Mary and everyone. Like there's so many dynamics in the show that I would love to play with. I personally would generally love to see Suki and Rex have more scenes with like Dory, and because I've always also felt like Dory's character is very similar to Rex's. I do think she's a lot smarter than Rex, but I do think that we both are just like bound to these people that we love so much that we won't ever love us back. And I think there's a connection between those two characters that I would love to explore. And also just selfishly because I love Eve. I want more scenes with Mary and Runa. Oh my God. Oh my God. Laura Felsky. I love her. Selfishly need more scenes with Laura Felsky and Eve Edwards because I think there's something fun there. I think that Runa and Rex, there's a funny relationship there to be had. I don't know how, I don't know where, when, or why, but I think there's those two characters together seem interesting to me.
I definitely think that a lot of characters though would not put up with Rex.
Oh
So I
no.
think
Oh no, like I would think imagine if like Rex and Suki like break up and he tries to find like another owner and like Runa would like not give him the time of day, you know? Like
she
that
already
would
has her beaver. I mean, she doesn't really need someone
who
stroking her
is
ego.
she has a WWE superstar in that beaver costume, which is crazy.
That was such a fun reveal. And I know that it was only Hunter that kind of got to act with him, but I mean, fingers crossed that
We
other
all did get
cameos would
to
be open to coming back in the future.
we all did get to meet him, and it's funny because I'm like the only WWE fan in my cast, so I was like, whoa. Whoa, that's crazy. He's like a big deal, and everyone was like, okay. But no, Seth Rollins is really, really cool.
Being inspired by any popular beloved manga would draw the attention of many. So, how conscious were you of this fact and wanting to do the source material justice, but balancing that with telling your own story and bringing something new to these characters?
I mean, I think I had a lot of privilege in the fact that my character wasn't in the anime, so I really got to put my own stamp on it. But I will say, because of my character's like hysterics and comedy, I felt like I was really able to play in the heightened like melodrama of that lives in anime and manga. So I felt not a pressure, more like an honor and like a respect in a way to like bring that to the show a little bit, whether it's like campy or whether it is a little too melodramatic at times. I do think that there's a playfulness to Rex that that is true to like that art form of anime and manga and like his like it's the fact that I feel like he just kind of keeps surprising everyone. He keeps showing up and you're like, oh, he's doing this now. Oh, he's doing that now. Oh, he looks like this now. Oh, okay. There's something unexpected about him, and I think that's really, really fun. when it comes with the fact that it's like yeah, it's like comic booky, it's like manga, it's anime, it's very eccentric. So it was very fun to play that. And I think yeah, and I think it was just like up my kind of alley in a way, right? So I felt honored and just happy that I was able to bring that to the show.
You were a big topic of discussion when the trailer was released. So, how was this period for you on social media? Because it did contain an amount of negativity and judgment. Of course, a lot of it coming from misinformation,
Oh,
but
of course.
still.
It was funny. I'm sorry. I had to laugh. Like I thought it was very, very, very funny. Um, just because like I knew they were wrong. We all knew they were wrong. Like I remember we had like our screening for Bet and one of our producers came up to me and was like, "They all think you're Runa." And I'm like, "Isn't that hilarious?" And they were like, "Yeah, but like are you okay? Like they're wrong." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Like they're gonna figure it out when they watch the show." Gives them just more reason to watch the show. If they were gonna hate watch it, then they find out that I'm really not Runa. Um, and Laura Afelsky had a ball with that. She thought it was so funny. And we were really happy when it came out just to like go online and be like, "Hey guys, you were wrong. You were wrong." Everyone's like, "Who the F is Rex?" And we're like, "Here he is, a house pet." Y'all were up in arms about this house pet. Um, yeah, at the end of the day, it was just funny. Like I didn't feel like any of the negativity was turned towards me as a person. Like it didn't really affect me in that way, if that makes any sense. I think I'm lucky that it wasn't anything crazy. Um, but it was just funny. Anytime it was brought up, I was like, "Stop, that's so funny. That's so funny to
Your
me."
face was like in a lot of different places though, because they did the comparisons and they were just
Mhm.
like, and then to see your face, like, with the hat, with the dog hat, it was just
Mhm. I get the confusion. And also it's like the derpiest picture of me too. I'm like, uh which like, my bad. But
I mean, it's a
uh
screen grab from a trailer, right? It's like
yeah.
it's not a posed
Yeah,
photo.
I was like, "Oh my God, guys, that is so funny." Like it was kind of everywhere. I remember when we were like looking up because as you do, the trailer drops, everyone in our house was like, "Let's see what people are talking about it." And then we're on like TikTok and like X and we're just like, "Oh, no, everyone's like, "Rami, they're really talking about you." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." Like, because again, it's like they're wrong, so it's like it was just kind of funny and I just kind of soaked it in for a little bit. Because that's very, very funny. Because I knew they'd love Laura as Runa, right? She's like copy paste. She's perfect. Um, and then they did. So we all felt pretty justified and vindicated after that.
And you and Laura filmed a TikTok about it more recently, the like that was rude kind
Yeah.
of trend. So it's nice to see you, making light of the situation now that it's out and people have met both of your characters. Now that the show has been out for 1 month, what messages and comments have you seen and received, and what has that support meant to you?
Oh, it's been really, really nice. I'm so fortunate to the fact that I feel like I've just been getting a lot of love on my pages from like fans of the show, from friends, from family. Like it was very, 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 very exciting and very like heartwarming to feel that just because like I'm like a side character. I'm comedic relief. I'm not super integral to the plot, but just the fact that people still resonated with like my comedy and love that I brought like light and laughter to the show was meant a lot to me. Um and it was yeah, and it felt like a nice big hug every time I saw a nice comment.
That's so nice. And to, of course, have your friends and family finally see what you worked on
Yeah.
last year, which it must have been, was it hard for you to kind of keep everything under wraps?
Yeah, it was like hard to like explain the premise of the show to people. Just to be like, yeah, I'm playing a house pet, like my character's a dog, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, and like I belong to somebody, and they're like, oh, huh? And then seeing it kind of all come into place and have them like see it come out and stuff was like very, very very, very lovely. Very, very nice. And it all just kind of made sense. Everyone was like, oh, okay, that's fun. So it was cool. It was really, really cool.
Everything you said had like another question attached to
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
essentially. But
Hmm.
congratulations. I mean, I know this project meant a lot to you. I think it was your first series returning for multiple episodes. So getting to kind of grow and learn on set and all that comes with that while finishing your undergrad and another program. So kudos to you. Last year was so busy, but I'm sure now so rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Of course, and I do hope we get to catch up again because it was so nice to chat with you. But I have one more question before I let
Okay.
you go. It's our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Whoa. Does it have to be like a real one or can I like make it up? Something I think would just taste good. Like this is gonna sound crazy. Strawberry cookie dough. Or like a strawberry brownie flavor. Like some of those Ben and Jerry like mixy mingle, like a berry and a chocolate. Because I love strawberries and I love chocolate. So as simple as that answer is, I fear it is the best depiction of me. The best of both worlds, as Hannah Montana said.
Perfect. I love that little mashup. And I mean, it could also be a double scoop, but
A
I think
double
there are some
scoop?
ice cream places that used to like mix in ingredients. It was
Yeah.
like Cold Stone or Marble
Oh,
Slab
yeah.
and places like those.
I love that. Growing up in a suburb, like you lived there. You lived in a marble slab. You would go when you could, and you'd get coupons in the mail, and you'd say, "We're going, Mom." And I love that.
Thank you so much, Rami, for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, Chloe. I really appreciate it.
Of course, and for all those watching, make sure to catch Rami as Rex in Bet. Season 1 is out on Netflix, so be sure to give it a watch and tell all of your friends, and we will see you next time.